A beautiful Yahoo to all of my beautiful brothers and sisters out there. Welcome to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. And this is not a podcast episode. We're actually going to be talking about the new moon solar eclipse that just occurred just after midnight today in the sign of Capricorn. Now, I know I haven't made a podcast episode in a while, and I'm just deciding to record my voice for this particular video. More than likely, I will be doing another video for this, maybe a live either tonight or maybe sometime tomorrow morning, or at least a video where I show my face. But for this video, we're just going to be recording and talking about these energies as we are now in between eclipses, and trusting that you had a wonderful Christmas with all of your friends and family, or by yourself if you decided to chill by yourself. But, you know, of course, you have friends in high places. So, you know, your guides are there celebrating with you this time. This time where the sun is beginning to rise back into the sky. And despite the fact that winter has begun, there is hope. For the sun is going to be returning back to the top of the sky, and upon springtime, you know, we're going to be going into the official new year. If you look at the new year based off of astrologically, the new year begins in Aries. So this new moon solar eclipse is going to be the last one that we have of 2019, and it's also going to be the last new moon eclipse that we have in Capricorn for quite some time, because that's where the nodes are at the current moment. And by the time the sun comes back around to this spot, the nodes will be in Sagittarius and Gemini respectively. So what is going on with this new moon? I'm sure you all can feel it. Raise your hand if you had to do some releasing last night. It's funny because new moons are a time of beginnings, but when you throw an eclipse into the mix, it's a time of release. So how many of you all have been releasing? How many of you all have been feeling rather emotional? How many of you are really going to start taking a stand and be like, you know what, this is how I want my life to be? And when I say that, not necessarily being so fixated on the way that your life looks, but to simply adjust how you react and respond to things when it comes to the world at large and society and your sense of status and worth, of course. But just in general, how do you feel about this? I know for me, myself, you know, I worked all day yesterday, Christmas. I'm working all day today, just carving out a little bit of time to make this video. And we were freaking busy. I work at a Chinese restaurant, so I work there part-time. Then I work elsewhere part-time. I work with my parents as well. So this is definitely interesting for me because I kind of found myself in a situation where I ended up working on Christmas. And I didn't want to work on Christmas. I remember at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm not going to work on Christmas. And even though I don't necessarily believe in the whole Christian aspect or version of this holiday, I do appreciate the togetherness, the wanting to come together and to bring in that warmth and bring in that love. But what's always been funny to me ever since I've, you know, embarked on this journey of learning more about astrology and reconnecting back to my astral heritage is that Christmas falls in the time of Capricorn, and Capricorn is opposite the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is usually considered to be the sign of family. So it's kind of interesting how it is in Capricorn season where we have this holiday that is centered around family. It's centered around the death and rebirth of Christ, if you look at it from that aspect, which is really just the sun moving to its lowest point visibly in the sky and then rising again. That's what this is based off of. And it's interesting how we have a holiday such as this based around this time. Of course, you could think about it, leading up to Christmas, it's very stressful. You know, trying to order these gifts for other people, making sure that the gifts actually arrive on time. You go out into like the malls, into the stores, and they're busy as fuck. There are lines wrapped around the building, and you just want to make sure that you're giving the right gifts. And especially with this sort of a new moon solar eclipse occurring right after Christmas, you know, going into the 26th, certainly interesting, because I think what's happening is that the greatest gift any of us could receive and did receive during this eclipse was change. It was change. And it's funny because if you think about gifts, I usually think of Venus and Jupiter kind of energy. Jupiter's in Capricorn, doesn't really like to be here. In fact, it was actually conjunct this new moon solar eclipse. The new moon solar eclipse occurred at 4 degrees of Capricorn, and Jupiter was at 5 degrees. So it was effectively in a very nice conjunction, especially with Jupiter being such a large planet. And then, of course, you have Venus over here in Aquarius, which is about, you know, some of you guys probably received kind of out there weird gifts. You know what I mean? So it's like, but these out there weird gifts may be very particular to your vibration and who you are. This new moon solar eclipse is going to be one to remember because it is officially capping off the decade in many ways, and it is really bringing home, ironically, it is bringing home this deeper sense of, you know, we can actually have whatever we want. And I say these sort of things, and it may sound cute, it may sound fluffy, it may sound like a pipe dream in many ways, but it's not a pipe dream. In fact, part of your homework after this video is going to be focusing on that quote-unquote pipe dream. But this was a massive moment. Eclipses are already intense. So when you throw Jupiter into the mix, when you throw Saturn into the mix, when you throw Pluto into the mix, it makes it even that much more potent. Saturn, of course, the ruler of time, karma, you know, the battle of attrition in many ways, hard work, consistency. Yes, Leo. Leo, my cat, is trying to get my attention. He's like rubbing up on my leg. It's, you see that? I'm supposed to be paying attention, and I get distracted by my cat Leo, who happens to be a Leo. So it's kind of interesting. Yes, buddy. I love you. Like I said, Saturn's in the mix, Pluto's in the mix, the planet of death and rebirth. In many ways, this deeper karma when it comes to our subconscious and what really bubbles up to the surface. Then, of course, you have Jupiter, which is here to expand and give fortune to this rise in awareness and understanding. But to have a new moon solar eclipse right after Christmas and to cap off this year, to cap off 2019 going into 2020, we are getting a preview into what the next decade has in store. Let me just run down some of the major things that are going to be happening in this next decade. Of course, right off the bat, we're going to have the Pluto-Saturn conjunction, which is going to be happening on the 12th of January in 2020. You're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse in Cancer, the last lunar eclipse in Cancer that we'll be receiving for quite some time. By the time that this even comes back around again, we will be heading into the next decade. But in this decade, we're going to have some major shifts. Uranus, which is in Taurus, will shift into Gemini this decade. You know, Pluto will be shifting into Aquarius. Neptune will be shifting into Aries. Chiron will be shifting into Taurus. So we have some major players here. We have some major players. If you look back over the last decade, you're going to see that you have progressed greatly. Whether it shows up in your life materially or financially or not, you have progressed greatly in your understanding and understanding of who you are, how you react and respond to your environment, how you adjust, how you move forward. You know, how you do pain, how you do joy, how you do happiness, how you do disappointment. You have been brought to this deeper awareness of how you do all of these things, and this new moon solar eclipse is going to be wanting to bring in a new structure a new structure, a new way of going about things. Capricorn is the boss of the zodiac. It rules the midhaven, so it rules the top of the zodiac as the boss. So how do you boss yourself around? How do you go and get it? What's interesting here too is that a lot of you probably, I'm not sure exactly my entire demographic and stuff like that, but a good bit of you have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. This is actually related a little bit to the homework that we have later, although even if you do not have Uranus or Neptune in Capricorn, this still applies to you. This still applies to you. But you had this solar eclipse conjuncting your Neptune and Uranus, whether it was a close conjunction or simply in the same sign. Even if it's 10 degrees away or 20 degrees away, you're going to feel this energy. Uranus, which is about being way out there, the rebel, the one who wants to help society, but at the same time kind of retract from society a bit because Uranus thinks he knows what's best. If you know any Aquarius or Aquarius dominant people or Uranus dominant people, they kind of are like that. They're kind of like these humanitarian like people, but at the same time, they really do enjoy their alone time, and they typically are know-it-alls. Aquarius and Virgos are the know-it-alls of the zodiac. Aquarius has the benefit of actually knowing everything. Virgo has the benefit of being able to articulate it to people in a way that people are able to adjust and morph along with it, even if they don't necessarily understand it. This is what frustrates Aquarius. This is dealing with their king kunks, because like I said, Aquarius has all the information and knowledge, and Virgo typically articulates it. Aquarius tries to articulate it, but the fact of the matter is that not everyone's really going to get it because they are higher dimensional beings superimposed into a human experience, and most of these simple mortals simply aren't going to get what Aquarius is bringing to the table. So that's why you need Virgo. And that's why you need the other air signs too. But then, of course, you have Neptune. Neptune, which rules dreams. It rules, in many ways, our subconscious. It rules over this sort of last little bit of breakthrough with winter. You can say it kind of rules death, even though that's technically Scorpio, but it, in the sense of like going into the new year, it represents this deeper sense of trust and belief that everything is really interconnected, and that even after death, there is life, and how death and life are really two and the same, and you can never really truly die, and they're infinite beings. So this is why Pisces is probably considered one of the most misunderstood signs, and when they're unable to communicate the fantasy and the dreams that they see as reality to other people, they have a tendency to detach and go on crazy adventures, whether they actually physically go somewhere or they invest in drugs energetically and stuff, and that they allow that to take them on an adventure. As a Pisces moon, I can certainly attest to this. This need to escape. So Neptune is this sort of escapism, but you can't escape. Oh wow, you can hear. I wonder if you guys can hear that upstairs. You guys can't. No one is escaping this new moon solar eclipse. No one is escaping it. We are locked in. We are locked in, and just like life itself, we are locked in when we decide as spirits to incarnate, to come into a new incarnation, to experience. We are locked in for the long haul until we pass on. And that can feel kind of, it can feel empowering, or it can feel disempowering based off of who you are and how you are approaching the situation. So with this new moon solar eclipse, a lot of you can certainly be feeling empowered and wanting to go get it, to become the boss of your life and not really let any external circumstances dictate your sense of worth and your sense of truth. But there's also this other aspect where it can feel disempowering, where we kind of fall too much into the status quo or believe too much into what society says is quote unquote correct or right. But like I said, those of you who have Uranus and Neptune, you are going to be the sort of citizens where you're able to go outside of the norm with this newfound courage and these newfound awarenesses, and really take what may seem like as a far out dream and make it into reality. This is setting the seeds for that. And what we're really going to see is that these seeds, we're going to start to see some of the seeds sprout, but we're not really going to see a lot of these seeds sprout and really come into their maturation until, I would say, Saturn hits Taurus. We're going to start to see the beginning of it when Saturn hits Aries, but people have to get their Saturn in Aquarius returns, and then the Saturn in Pisces as well. And I can look up real fast just quickly to see those who do have this aspect of Uranus and Neptune in Pisces. And we can see kind of where the cutoff is. So it looks like a good bit of the cutoff is actually at 96 or so, which makes sense, honestly, because this is coinciding with the Pluto aspect, with the Pluto and Sagittarius. So those of you who most certainly have Pluto and Scorpio are going to be feeling this the most. But, you know, upon, you know, moving it forward to about, I would say about, there's a little bit of a cutoff. So the 1997, 1998, this low-key, I'm going to go ahead and mention this. This is why when it comes to people who are branding themselves as 90 kids, it includes, I would say, 88 to 89 to about 97, 98. You know, although a lot of people like to think that it's real, that you cut off at 99, at 96. A lot of people like to cut it off right there. But in truth, it really goes from about, it's about a 10-year span, from about 1988 to about 1998. So between those 10 years, you all especially are going to be feeling this energy. But considering the fact that Saturn won't be coming into, you know, a lot of you have Saturn in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, some of you Saturn in Sagittarius, and then of course those of you at the tail end of the 90s have that Saturn in Aries. This is why I'm saying that we're not really going to see the sprout of this new world come out until Saturn reaches Taurus, which is going to be, let me look it up just right quick. Pretty much towards the end of the decade. So yeah, so about 2027, 2028 is when we're going to see a lot of these new seeds that we're planting during this new moon begin to sprout. And what's going to be interesting too is that a lot of you are going to be getting your nodal returns, because the North Node is going to be in Capricorn at the time. So it's actually going to be bringing up a lot of these energies once again, because in 2028, we're going to be getting those eclipses again in Capricorn. Saturn by that time will be in Taurus and actually conjunct Chiron. So this is why I'm saying that this decade is very important. And that's why I'm also going to say to not get frustrated with yourself. Capricorn is about time. It's about what we build over time. And while, yes, time is something that is in many ways an illusion, it is something that we are still interacting with so long as we are in this incarnation, and we can make it work to our advantage. I think a lot of people in the New Age community always want to be like, oh, time is an illusion, I don't have to worry about time. But time is super fucking important. And that's actually how you outsource your spiritual responsibility to not only yourself, but to other people. More importantly, yourself, but to other people. This is what makes people within the New Age spiritual community some of the biggest procrastinators. I'm one of them. So I'm not even going to front about that. But the fact remains is that we're not really going to see a lot of the seeds of this new moon solar eclipse really begin to take effect. You're going to notice, of course, in your life. You're going to notice it, of course, in your direct neighborhood. But as far as on a world scale, this whole 2020s is actually going to be the shift into the new world, into the new society, into the new day. But before we get to that new day, we have to go through the night. The 2010s, in many ways, was this first experience of the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul. Think about it. It's like the first. Think of 2010 to 2019 as the hours of midnight to 3 when it's really dark, right? Think of the 2020s as the time between about 4 to 6 o'clock. So it's like darkest before dawn, they say, but you know the sun is coming. You know the sun is there. And this is the moment where people get up and get it. You know, apparently a lot of successful people wake up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And maybe not everyone can do that. But as the collective society, we are going to be moving towards this energy of getting after it during this time. Getting after it during this time. That's what the whole 2020s is about. And this new Moon Solar Eclipse is going to be highlighting that. So don't be frustrated if things don't manifest immediately. And don't feel like you have to trash certain projects or certain relationships too, because they're not manifesting exactly the way that you thought. Because the fact of the matter is that no matter what vision that you have for your life, God has a greater vision. I know that word can be a little polarizing for some people. They may want to say God, Goddess, Universe, Source, Spirit, Perspective, whatever. Whatever it is. Whatever your vision for your life that you have, know that there is a greater vision. But the only way to obtain that greater vision and to step into that greater vision is to trust yourself to go along with the flow, to trust yourself to do what you came here to do, and to simply believe in yourself and know that you can overcome anything, overcome any kind of obstacle. Capricorn is the kind of sign that can overcome any obstacle. If you ever go to a Capricorn and you start to doubt a Capricorn, they'll slap you in your fucking face because they know that they can overcome. They're able to climb steep hills that no one else can climb. I don't know if you've seen those pictures of those goats on the side of these mountain cliffs where there's literally no room for fucking error. This is not a time to rush things, my friends. This is not a time to rush things. Even if you just look at the astrology, we don't have a lot of masculine, quote-unquote, energy. We really don't. Most of the signs, most of the planets are in water or earth signs. You have, of course, the stellium in Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, Mars in Scorpio, and Uranus in Taurus. And even if you look at those that are in air or fire, you have Mercury in Sag, which typically Mercury rules over Gemini, which is a quote-unquote masculine planet. Although I like to think that Mercury is a bit of a hermaphrodite and its gender is based off of what sign it's in. But since it's in Sagittarius, where it doesn't like to be, where our minds are being blown up to the full perspective, and trying to understand this full perspective is kind of fucking crazy because we don't really have a lot of understanding for it. We don't have any Virgo energy to, check it, right? We don't have any Gemini energy to check it. All we have is Neptune to check this energy. That's why it's so freaking difficult. And then you have Venus in Aquarius, which Venus is a feminine planet in and of itself. And we don't have a lot of checks for Venus either. We don't have anything in Leo. We have Uranus in Taurus, which that's kind of cool because that's some mutual reception right there. So that kind of helps out. And then, but we have Mars in Scorpio, which is essentially the battle of the sexes. So we don't have a lot of checks to the Venus energy either. And it's a feminine planet in a masculine sign. So even though it's air, it's not the most comfortable. It can make do with what it has, but it's not the easiest. And then you look at Aries, where Chiron is at 1 degree. Chiron, the ruler of Virgo, another feminine sign, another feminine planet, in the sign of Aries. God of War. You got to spit on that wound to keep going. If not, we're gonna leave you. You're gonna get left behind. You're gonna get left behind, and that's tough because no one wants to get left behind, and you may actually literally not be able to move forward. And you can feel in this moment, in this time, in these trying times right now, you can feel that maybe you're getting left behind. You may be getting left behind by family, friends, colleagues that seem to be going after their, getting it, hustling, crushing it. I hate that term, crushing it. But they may be out there crushing it, and you may feel like you're getting left behind. And there's this sort of element of, if you're really going to get it, you gotta kind of spit on that wound, wrap it up, and keep going. There's not really a time, there's not really any medic energy right now. You know, the medic. We don't have any Virgo. We have the North Node in Cancer, but this is more of a spiritual thing. Our medics right now are our ancestors. They're our ancestors, our family. And if you're not really connected to your ancestors, or if you have not the greatest relationship with your family, you may feel like you're all on your own. That's what makes it so difficult. But there is an incredible power within this moment as well, because it's going to show you just how great your resolve is and just how amazing you really are. I'm going to draw a card. Even though you won't be able to see it, I'm going to draw a card. We have the card of synergy, and the card of synergy reads, the frequency of synergy supports our allowance and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before, combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. I love that. So let's just break this card down a bit. Let's just break this card down a bit. Working, that's Capricorn. Thinking, that's Gemini. Relating is Libra. Loving, I would say, is Leo. Being is Virgo. Functioning, that's kind of an interesting one, because functioning can be Capricorn, but I think it can also relate to Cancer as well. So we have all these energies kind of at play, and we have quite a bit of energies in these signs, or at least there are some major players as far as this new moon. But what this is saying is actually related to the homework of this, of allowing things to be, and also allowing our imagination to run wild, and that no matter how wild our imagination is, it can be manifested. If you go back 50 years and you tell somebody that we have electric cars that you can control with a pocket phone, with a pocket cellular device, and you can actually control this car and let it drive to you without being in the car, and it drives itself, people would think that you are mad and that you're a witch. But the fact of the matter is that that's a reality. I've seen it before. It's freaking awesome and it's freaking crazy. So it's possible. So your homework, beloved. And you have until the moon reaches Aries to complete this homework. Actually, this is more like a longer project, if anything. You have until the moon reaches Uranus, which is January 4th. So you have some time. You have until the moon reaches Uranus to complete this homework. And it's very simple. I want you to sit down and I want you to write out a business plan. A business plan. And the business plan is not necessarily a business that you are going to create, but a business plan for your life. If you think of yourself as a business, I want you to create a business plan. And I want you to let your imagination run wild. I want you to have no bounds in this business plan. Okay? I want you to write this down. We're going to share it. I'm going to come back, guys. I'm going to come back when the moon goes into Pisces, and we're going to talk about this again. And I'm going to share with you all part of my business plan. But I want your imagination to run wild. I want you to think of the craziest thing that you think is not possible, but it's something that really inspires you and motivates you. I want you to write this plan out, okay? And I want you to, I would say write a couple of copies of this plan out, okay? And you can either burn one of the copies, you can fold it up and put it under your pillow. That's what I like to do. Or you can just simply put it off to the side. But I want you to create a business plan for your life and how you are going to move forward. Make the necessary cuts that you need to make and make the necessary decisions that you need to make so you can propel your life into this fantasy that actually is possible, that is actually true, that can actually happen. And I want you to create a plan that is so preposterous that if you literally go back 50 years from this moment and you tell someone your plan, they look at you side-eyed and they want to burn you at the stake, because that's how you're going to make the biggest fucking impact. You have to be able to go back in time and show them your business plan as if it's already manifested and be like, look, this is what's happening in the future. And they look at you like you're a fucking lunatic. They look at you like you are a fucking lunatic. Okay? That's your homework. That is your freaking homework. Your other homework is to listen to a particular song that I'm going to link in the description below. It may not be a song that vibes with a lot of you as far as like the style of the song, but I want you all to listen to the song with an open mind and an open heart. And I hope that you all enjoy that. And I hope that you all enjoyed this video. In any event, happy new moon solar eclipse. A very Merry Christmas to all of you all who celebrate Christmas or whatever holidays you celebrate, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all those beautiful holidays. And of course, I will be seeing you all very soon when the moon goes into Aquarius for that lunar transit video. And I'm going to bring the podcast back. It's just been kind of weird here lately. I don't really have a great excuse for it, to be honest, but the podcast will be coming back. But I love you all so much. I will see you all very soon, and a very happy new year to you all. 2020 is right here. It's right on the corner. Let's get it. And as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.